Okay, according to my notes, the last one we did was the one with the magnets and postcards. Is that right?
5 on part, second part.
Yeah, that's the
Okay, so have we done number 5 yet?
No.
Okay, right. So seven times x minus y is equal to 4. What is the value of x minus y? Oh, well, should you just divide both sides by 7?
Yep.
Right, so the answer should be 4/7. Yep, that's the answer. 5 is A. You guys get that? Just one algebra step. Number 6, the average annual precipitation in Orlando is approximately 13/10 of what it is in Columbus. Right, pause right here. Where does it rain more, in Orlando or in Columbus? Orlando, yeah, but 30% more. Right? Yes, sir. The average precipitation in St. Cloud is 7/10 of what it is in Columbus. So it looks like St. Cloud, it rains the least. Columbus is like the middle, and then Orlando it rains the most. Kind of like a Goldilocks situation. The average annual precipitation in Columbus is 1,000 millimeters. Ooh, that is a very nice round number because that's everything. We're also comparing everything to that city too. Approximately how many more millimeters fell in Orlando than in St. Cloud during the year? Okay, well, what's 13/10 of 1,000 millimeters? Going to be 1,300 millimeters, and is it 7/10 of 1,700? So what is the difference between 1,300 and 700? 600. That should be the answer. Option A is 6A. 6 is A. You guys get that? Number 7. Which of the following is an equivalent form of okay, this minus this squared minus that whole expression? Okay, and then a bunch. So I think this is just solve this out, order of operations, the whole deal. There's going to be a FOIL part, FOIL. So 2.6a minus 3.5 quantity squared minus 7.3a squared minus 4.1. Something like that, right? Okay. First thing I do is take this piece here, this term, and square it with FOIL. So imagine this multiplied by itself. So 2.6a times 2.6a. So 2.6 squared is 6.76. So it'd be 6.76a squared, right? And then outside and inside, well, that would just be this times this plus this times this. So this times 2, right? So it's 2.6 times 3.5 is 9.1, but I need to double that because outside plus the inside. Okay? And also make it negative and also tag on the a. So that's minus 18.2a, right? And then 3.5 squared is 12.25. That's the last term. Okay? And that's always going to be positive because negative times negative is a positive. Okay? Okay. But we still need to subtract it. Ooh, let's do this. Let's distribute this negative sign, right? So that, and the other thing to do is one reason I'm kind of running out of paper here. I'm going to align this directly underneath this, and I'm going to match up the terms. So wouldn't this be minus 7.3a squared plus 4.1, right? Is that true? You just add these together. So what is 6.76 minus 7.3? That's negative 0.54. So that's the a squared term. Minus 18.2a is just there. And then this looks like plus 16.35, I want to say. Okay. That should be the answer. Let's see if there's an answer choice that says that. That looks like option D. Yeah, 7 is D. All right, guys can do that. 7D. Number 8, American Association of University Women hopes to expand its reach by starting a total of T student organizations on college campuses each year. There were S student organizations at the beginning of 2015, which function models the total number of organizations X years after 2015. Oh, this looks like y equals mx plus b, where the intercept is the number that we started with, which was s. There were, where did it say? Oh, okay, we started with s. So even if 0 years have passed, we still have s. Right? And then every year after that, we're going to tack on another t. Right? That looks like option C, right? Tx plus c, where x is the number of years to pass, t is the organizations per year that we're adding, and then s is the number we started with. Yeah, number 8 is C. No, since you guys are AP, hopefully you're for sure able to get that. But if that was a bit abstract, and this is a recommendation I'm making for my honor students too, if you want to make more down to earth, you could make up numbers. So you could say, we're going to add on 3 organizations per year, and we started with 10 organizations. If that helps you put a story together and also get to the answer C, then yeah, that could be a good trick you do. Number 9. The resistance of a conductor is found by dividing voltage V by the current I. So capital I represents current through the conductor. Which of the following gives voltage in terms of resistance and current? This is something we're going to go over a few weeks from now. So I'll show you guys electric circuits. This question used to be on AP exams up until a couple of years ago. So let's do exactly what they said to do on number 9. They said resistance is found by dividing voltage V by current I. That's exactly what the paragraph says, right? Okay. So first thing, do I see an answer choice that looks like that? No, I don't. But maybe I could rearrange this until I get something that looks the same. Maybe like cross multiply the I, for example. Current times resistance is equal to voltage. You do something like that. So see, is that an option? Yes, it is. That is option D. So number 9 is D. Number 10. You guys good so far? Anybody got any questions on any of these? All right. Number 10. In 1893, Major League Baseball pitching distance from the pitcher's plate was increased from 50 feet to 60.5 feet. Side note here. My Reddit adventures came across this fact that I assume is true, or no, didn't fact check it myself, that supposedly it was supposed to be 60 feet 0 inches, but because of sloppy handwriting, somebody interpreted that as 60 feet 6 inches. So yeah, to this day, notice how much that is skewed Major League statistics. Which of the following is closest to the increase in pitching distance in meters? 1 meter is approximately 3 feet. Okay, well, increase in distance. They're talking about the difference, aren't they? The increase. So isn't that an increase of 10.5 feet? Right? 10.5 feet. Okay. So increase in 10.5 feet. And they told you in parentheses there that 1 meter was approximately 3 feet. Right? Now that's not exactly true, but they're saying approximately, right? Okay. So if you use that, what's 10.5 divided by 3? You would get 3.5 feet cancels 3.5 meters, right? Not true? Okay. That's the answer they were looking for. So number 10 is A. If you pick A for number 10. Tell you guys what though, there's actually another answer choice that is closer to the true answer. Did anybody pick anything other than A that thinks they are more correct than the SAT? How about this? This ratio, not exactly correct. It's closer to 3.28. This is just a side note. Okay. So if you run those numbers, this is actually close to like 3.20. So, yeah, which is closer to option B, but just FYI, I guess. Okay, number 10 or 11. I guess this. If the SAT tells you something and you know yourself, like additional information, maybe it's better to just do exactly what the SAT says rather than incorporating your wider knowledge of the world. Right, number 11. Okay, we got this table. See, it looks like 2 different areas of focus and then a total, and then 2 different levels of education and then totals. So it looks like if you look at these 4 cells right here, it probably represents maybe like all people in a survey, I'm thinking. And then the total of the totals, I bet if I'm just gonna do a side check here. I bet if I add up these four numbers, it should add up to 529. Let's see if that's true, if I'm interpreting this right. Well, it's 157 plus 129 plus 221 plus 22. That is 529. Yeah. All right. So okay, so we're good so far. In the survey, 529 social workers focusing on pediatric or adult services were indicated their highest level of education, either master's or doctorate. If one of the social workers is selected at random, right, so randomly selecting somebody, which of the following is closest to the probability the selected worker would be a pediatric worker with a doctorate degree? Okay, so pediatric doctorate degree. So it's 221 of them, right? Out of a total of 529 surveyed. Right? So I think just divide those two, right? Whatever 221 divided by 529 is. Right? That is maybe about 41.8%, right? 41.8%, which looks like option B. 11. Yeah, 11 is B. Interesting, they left it as a decimal. They could have said a percentage, and then you would just, of course, multiply by 100%, say like 41.8%. That's what that represents. Number 12, negative 3x plus 4y is equal to 5. Okay, so that represents a line as a graph. Interestingly, it is not in slope-intercept form. I think it's closer to something called standard form. Which of the following equations is perpendicular to that graph of okay. What do you guys know about perpendicular lines? If one line is perpendicular to the other, yeah.
The slope has to be like the inverse, negative inverse of the slope of the other.
There you go. Yeah, the slope perpendicular is equal to negative reciprocal. Yeah, right. Guess what? So, for example, just for example, real fast. Let's get some XY axes, which, by the way, themselves are perpendicular lines, right? Let's say I have one line that was positive and shallow. Wouldn't the other line to be perpendicular have to be negative and steep, right? But it could be anywhere, right? It could be here or here. Right? Those would all be perpendicular lines, right? So I don't really care about y-intercept, but I do care about slope. Right? So let's figure out what is the slope of this line, and then what is the negative reciprocal, and then which answer choice would agree with that. So negative 3x plus 4y is equal to 5. I'm going to put this in slope-intercept form. So add the 3x over, divide both sides by 4. Okay, so that's the original line. There's the slope of the original line. So what's the perpendicular slope? Negative 4/3, right? Is that? Okay, so which answer choice has the slope of negative 4/3? Oh. Ooh, well, it's not immediately obvious because they went with standard form again, but I'm looking at C thinking, I think the answer is probably going to be C. Let me just check that by rearranging that into slope-intercept form. Got 4x plus 3y is 5. Okay. So subtract over 4x, divide by 3. This x is in the numerator, by the way. Yeah, if you ever have a fraction just multiplied by something, then that something is implied to be in the numerator, right? If you had to, right? So if you wanted to, you could say this. Same thing. Right? Yeah, that has a slope we're interested in. The negative 4/3 slope. Okay. So number 12 is C. Everybody doing all right? Number 13. Let's see. These two, okay, let's look at system of equations. Yep, so system of equations has solution xy. What is the value of y? All right. Gotta write this down. So 2 is equal to negative 1/3 x plus y, and 6 is equal to 1/3 x. And So as a graph, there'd be some coordinate where they cross, and the question is, what is the y coordinate? Or you don't even have to graph these. So we're just not trying to solve for y, right? Now, different ways to solve system of equations. You could use substitution, but I see a method, I bet some of you guys do too, where you can get this in one step. And that's to use what process? Elimination. Can you just add those two together? Is that perfectly valid? 6 plus 2 is 8. That and that cancel out. Boom, done. Y is 8. Yep, the answer is A. 13 is A. You could use another method, but you'd still get that answer. A community advocacy group recently polled 500 people who were selected at random from a small town and asked each person, are you in favor of the referendum to increase property tax rate? Of those surveyed, 67% said they were opposed to that increase in property tax rate. Which of the following statements must be true about the results of the poll? Oh, and it's one of these where there's different choices, but then, okay, there could be some combination choices by the time you get to the multiple choice. So, gotta read these one by one. If another 500 people were selected from random in that town, 67% of those would also state that they were opposed to the referendum. I do like that option, but maybe this word must. Maybe it's not exactly true. It should be pretty close to that, right? But it might be like maybe it's 65% or 62 or 70. Okay. So option one, I'm thinking maybe, but we'll come back to that. Option B, if 500 people were selected from random from a different town, 67% of those people would be opposed. Okay, this is a total no answer, right? Because we're looking at a completely different population. So definitely nothing to do with option two. Option three, of all the people in the town. Okay, so of all the people in town. So we're going from a sample to the population. Take statistics, that's the terminology there. 67% are opposed to the referendum. Well, I mean, the survey is trying to model that or approximate that. So option one and option three, I like approximately equally. But what are options down here? 1 and 3 is an option, but another option is none. I bet they're probably looking for none because, again, can you say exactly 67%? What if it's actually like 70%? Well, if you took a larger sample size, numbers might be a little bit different. So the answer should be D. Yeah, 14 is D. Although if you pick B, it is kind of supposed to model that. So D, 14 is D. Number 15. This looks like maybe a system of inequalities, maybe something like that. Which order pairs satisfies the system of inequalities above? All right. One way you could solve this is you could go through point by point. Stop this game. Down. Yeah. Which of the following order? Oh yeah, that sounds a lot better. Satisfies the inequalities above. One way you could do is you could go through each point one by one and plug this in. And I'm going to do a different method with you guys. I'm going to actually graph these because who knows, you might have to graph these sometime. Right, so we've got y is greater than or equal to 4x minus 1. And also this bottom one, if I shuffle this around a little bit, it's going to say y is strictly less than negative x plus 2. Okay, you do that? And let's see what these are going to look like. X, y. All right, so 4x minus 1, negative 1, rise over run of 4 to 1, make a solid line. Okay. And then since it's an inequality, it says greater than or equal to, it's everything above that line, right? So this whole thing up here. Okay. But I'm looking for an intersection between that and this other equation. Strictly less than negative x plus 2. Negative x plus 2, that's like this line. Okay. I'm going to dash it because it says strictly less than. Okay. So I need less than the dashed line, but more than the solid line. Isn't that this part of the graph right here? Right, that true? Right, so which answer choice is in that part of the graph? Option A, -3, -1. Looks like we got a winner. Guys like option A? And then those other three options just lie in other parts of the graph. So yeah, so option A is the answer. Yeah, 15 is A. Guys good so far? Oh, we got a table for the next 3 questions. Different types of exercises and different burn rates. Now, in the table, they didn't specify what the units were on that burn rate. So let's see, check out this paragraph. One method of calculating calories a person will burn by doing a particular exercise is to multiply the number of minutes doing the exercise by a constant called the burn rate. Okay, so this is, do you guys see that the unit would be calories per minute, right? All these would be calories per minute. The table gives the burn rate for a 100-pound person for different types of exercises. All right, question 16. We got 200-pound people have each been exercising for an hour. Ooh, pause right here. If you do any kind of calculation with this number, you shouldn't use the number 1. You should use the number what? 60, because we're talking about like calories per minute, right? So this is 60 minutes. Okay? 1 speed walking and 1 doing yoga. Which of the following is closest to the difference in exercise times in minutes when they have each burned an additional 20 calories? Oh, and give you a hint right here, 1 hour, 60 minutes. Okay, so interesting, they're looking for a time. So let's set up an equation, then rearrange it to solve what we're interested in. So number of calories burned is equal to burn rate times number of minutes. They usually just call it T, like T for time, but you guys know T, that's going to be minutes, right? Okay. And we're trying to solve for like a difference in time. So I'm going to rearrange this in terms of T. How much time you need, the number of calories you want to burn divided by the burn rate. Right, you guys said? Kind of like distance is equal to speed times time. So the time that it takes to get from here to some destination is how far you go divided by how fast you're driving, kind of analogous to that. Okay. Let's do this for each person. Now they're each trying to burn 20 calories, right? Or it says additional, but whatever, so 20 calories. So this is like T2 minus T1. I've got 20 calories. Maybe taking the difference. Okay. Divided by, I know, 2 different kinds of exercise though. Speed walking and yoga. Now, speed walking was 5 calories per minute. And yoga was 1.5 calories per minute. Right? Okay, I see some fractions within fractions. Calories is going to cancel. Minutes comes back to the top. Well, it's good. The answer is going to be minutes. Kind of figured that out already. So 20 over 5, which is of course 4 minutes for this guy, minus 20 over 1.5 for the yoga guy. I'm looking at a difference of 9.33 minutes. One more detail. This number is technically negative because, oops, I subtracted the big one from the small one. So the difference in time would just be the opposite value. Okay? You could subtract the other way. Is there 9.3 minutes? Option B, it looks like. Yeah, 16 is B. According to that table, what is the approximate number of calories that will be burned by a 100-pound person shooting baskets for 30 minutes? Right, so shooting baskets. Yeah, thanks. Right, so 3 calories per minute. Oh, and if you do that for 30 minutes, guys, what's 3 calories per minute times 30 minutes? 90. Boom, done. 17 is C. 18. Got a graph of calories burned as a function of time. Hey, we've done so many labs in this class where you guys have created scatter points based on your own data that look kind of like that. I'm gonna go with this question. Scatter plot gives times spent exercising plotted against, gives the time spent exercising plotted against calories. Okay, so time, calories. for 20 different 100-pound people for a particular exercise, the burn rate of that exercise is closest to which of the following. If what property of that graph, calories versus time, tells you burn rate? It's the slope. Yeah, that would be rise over run, calories per time, which is burn rate. Okay. So what's the slope of this line? Well, I see it goes through the origin approximately, extrapolate back. And this point here looks like maybe like 30, 60. So wouldn't that be like a rise over run in 30 over 60? So 2 to 1. I think it has a slope of 2 to 1, 2 calories per minute. I wonder if there's an exercise that has a burn rate of 2 calories per minute. I see light aerobics does. It's the only one. Ooh, I hope that's the answer. Is there a light aerobics? There is. That's option B. And that is the answer. 18 is B. Light aerobics. Are we good? Number 19. Oh, look at that. It's oscillatory motion. I bet that's like a sine curve. Well, maybe like a negative cosine shifted up, but that's the same shape, right? Sine or cosine curve. I mean, they have the same shape. And ooh, I'm seeing this big old dot on this fan. Even before I read any of the paragraph, I think what that refers to probably, like this graph, I'm thinking is maybe it's vertical position as a function of time of this dot, right? I mean, that would make sense. See, figure shows electric fan with a spot of paint on its blades. The electric fan is sitting on a flat desk and switched onto a constant low setting. When they say constant, that means constant angular velocity, right? Causing the blades to rotate in a clockwise direction. The graph, y is a function of time, could represent which of the following when the fan is turned on. Let's see, the distance traveled by the spot of paint. Okay, so technical thing, you guys know distance represents a scalar value. So I bet what that would look like, see like circumference of a circle would just be like a straight line like, from the origin, just linear. So it's not that one. The distance of spot of paint traveled from the center of the electric fan. Well, from the center, isn't that just the radial size? And isn't that constant? So that would just be a flat graph. So it's not option B. The distance of the spot of paint, from the desk. Okay, that's talking about its vertical displacement. That's got to be what that is. 19, yeah, 19 is C. Let's check out option D real fast. The speed at which the blades are moving. Well, the speed is also constant, which will also be a flat graph. Okay, so a flat curve. So 19 is C. Number 20. H is equal to F minus G divided by G, where F is positive and G is negative. Which of the following must be true? All right, well, let's figure out our own thing that must be true and see if that's the answer, an answer choice. If F is positive, but G is negative, hey, what happens when you subtract a negative? Isn't that like adding a positive? So wouldn't the numerator be some super positive number? And the denominator itself is negative. So positive or negative, doesn't that give you a negative number? Let's see if there's an option that just says H is negative. Let's see, H is 1, H is greater than 1, Okay, H is exactly -1 or less than -1. I was looking for H is less than 0, but my hunch is that option D would be correct, right? Because C is way too specific. Okay. Interesting, they said not only is it negative, it's beyond -1. Let's go back and look at this one more time. Because what if it was just plain negative G over G? That would be exactly equal to -1, wouldn't it? And then if you increase the numerator beyond that, okay, that's why it's less even than -1, maybe -1.5 or -2. Okay, so 20 was D. Number 21. Ooh, this geometry, quadrilateral LMNO. What is the length of LM? Okay, so they gave you some angle. Oh, I see these angles. Isn't this a 45, 45, 90 triangle? And this is also a 45, 45, 90 triangle. They give you one side, this side. Okay, so let's go piece by piece. Can you guys figure out the length of this hypotenuse of the small triangle? Who knows? What is this? This is what times what? For the 45, 45, 90 triangle, this is a good one to know. The hypotenuse is always the square root of 2 times the short side. Right? Now, if you didn't memorize that, you could do Pythagorean theorem, 4 squared plus 4 squared, and then take the square root. But That's what it would come out. It comes out to 4 times the square root of 2. Okay. Right. But the question is, what is LM? Oh, but since this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle, isn't this side and this side same length? So the answer has to be 4 times the root 2, which is exactly option C. 21 is C. Table for 22 and 23, refer to this table. Okay, so we've got different neighborhoods, 5 different neighborhoods with different populations in different areas. Okay, and then it explains that this paragraph. So this is for the year 2015. Do you guys see the smaller the population, the smaller the corresponding area, and vice versa, larger population, larger area? I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense because there's more area, there's more space to fit people. I wonder if there might be some kind of population density question coming up, maybe? I don't think there is actually, but they could have asked a population density question. Let's see what they actually asked them. Due to redrawing borders, the population of Maple Mall neighborhood increased by 30% from 2010 to 2012. That population then increased another 20%, but by 2014, no other changes happened to Maple Mall since 2014. Which of the following best approximates the population of Maple Mall back in 2010? Now remember, all this table data refers to the year 2015, right? So we're gonna have to work backwards from the table data to get to the answer. So Maple Mall had a population of 122,000 by the end of this whole process. So I'm gonna type 122,000. Now I need to work backwards to figure out what it was in previous years. Now, the last population increase that happened was that 20% bump. Okay. Now, if you were to increase the population by 20%, isn't it the same thing as multiplying it by 1.20? Right? But since we're undoing that, shouldn't I take this and divide by 1.20? Right? Okay. So that brings me down to this number. But that's not the end of the story, because before that, there had been a population increase of 30%. So let's undo that one too. I'm going to also divide by 1.30. And that should be the answer, 78,000. Is there an option that says 78,000? Option C. Yeah, 22 is C. Okay. Well, I want to show you guys you can also go forward some time. What if I take 78,205 people and I multiply that by, or I should say increase it by 30%. And then increase that by another 20%. I get back to the table value. Okay, go both ways on that. Number 23, relationship between the area in square miles and the population in thousands of residents can be represented as a linear function. Which function best represents that relationship? Couple things. One, I think it's kind of backwards how I would think of it. I would think, what is the population based on the area? Right? More area, more people. They did the reverse. They said, if you know how many people there, can you get a good estimate of what the size of the land is? Another thing is, don't forget to divide by 1,000, right? Because it's thousands of residents. Okay, well, they are implying here that if you plotted all these points on a line, that they should line up in approximately a straight line, because they said linear function. So the fact that this is a time test, and you only have so much time to answer these questions, I think what I would do is pick 2 neighborhoods at random, find the slope between those, and see if there's an answer choice that lines up with the slope, right? And then just move on from there if there is. So let's go, maybe these top 2 cities, Cedar Vale and Fur Ven. Okay, so if you thought about these as coordinates, like XY coordinates, let's figure out rise over run. So rise, that's like your y value, which is area, goes from 22 to 57. So it's 57 minus 22. That's looking like 35, right? So we got a rise of 35 and a run. Now remember, the population is in thousands. So that's from 2 to 12. Isn't that a rise of 10, right? Right? In terms of thousands of people, raised by 10. Right? So rise is 35, run is 10. There should be a slope of 3.5, right? That would be square mile per 1,000 people. So do any of these choices have a slope of 3.5? Only option C does. Now, if we did more equation analysis, I'm sure it would just reconfirm this, but 23, is 23 C? Yes, 23 is C. Okay. Very good. Number 24. In County C, oh, this is, we're done with the table now. So new question, new scenario. County C, 132 employees at a small business, Perfect Paper Products, were surveyed, and 62.9% of them responded that they had less than $1,000 in savings. The average small business size is 132 employees. So interesting that Perfect Paper Products, their size actually does represent the average size for in this particular county. If the employees are representative of the employees in county small businesses, so maybe the 62.9% number applies pretty well across the county. And there are 270 of these small businesses. Which of the following best estimates the number of small business employees in the county who have at least $1,000 in savings? Ooh, you guys see at the tail end, they threw you a little curveball, right? Because the 62.9% refers to people who have less than this much money. And the target question is who has more than that much money. So do you guys see that one of the steps is you have to take 100%, subtract 62.9%, right? You had to be paying real close attention to catch that. Instead, what is, I'm gonna write this down on paper because why not? What's 100% minus 62.9%? I think that's, what would that be, 37.1%, I think. Is that right? Okay, so that's a percent of people who have $1,000 more in savings. Okay. And we're trying to figure out the number of people in the county who have this. So remember there's there's 270 businesses. 270 businesses. Every one business, on average, has 132 employees. And, okay, so that would tell you the total number of people in this county that are employed in small businesses. And then we're gonna take that and multiply by 37.1%, which is like 0.371 as a decimal. Okay. So let's try this out. It's 270 businesses times 132 people per business times 37%. I'm looking at 13,200 employees would be the unit because businesses cancels. So about 13,000 people. See, is there a 13,000 people? Looks like option B. Yeah, 24 is B. 25. The volume of a cube is 1/8 C cubed, where C is a positive constant, which is the following gives the surface area of that cube, surface area. So I'm going to draw this one out. Might be helpful, maybe, maybe not, probably depends on individual. Okay. So if you want the volume of a cube, isn't that just base times width times height? Right, base times width times height. And if it is a cube, then all those would be the same value. So what cubed is 1/8 C cubed? Wouldn't that be like 1/2 C? Right? And then this side is 1/2 C. And then this side is 1/2 C. So if we do 1/2 C times 1/2 C times 1/2 C, wouldn't that give you 1/8 cubed squared? Or sorry, 1/8 C cubed. That's what I'm going to say. Right. And the question then is, what is the surface area? So guys, how many sides does that cube have? 6, right? 6 surfaces. Right. So I'm going to do base times height and then times 6. Right. So let's do 1/2 C times 1/2 C, and then 6 of those. Right? Wouldn't that be true? So let's see, that would be C squared divided by 4, all times 6. And that would be 6/4 is the same thing as 3/2. right? Enter. Okay, so are there any answer choices that hopefully look like this? Okay, well, I see option. Option A actually looks like this one right here, actually. Okay, so option A is 25A. Yeah, 25 is A. Okay. Guys got that? Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. Tell you what, since there's only a few minutes of class left, here's what I do. Is I'm gonna throw the kit here, have you guys grade yourselves for the last few, and I'd like to go over the last few with you guys, but possibly another day.